Hey, what's up everyone, it's your girl Brain Sinead, and today I'll be sharing with you part 3 of my anticipated reads of 2022, so please stay tuned. And I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. So like I said before, this is going to be part 3 of my anticipated reads. I know there's a lot of good books that are coming out next year, and I don't want to miss any that I really am trying to read next year, which is close to maybe around like 60 to 70 books, but hopefully I can do that. But they're still doing a lot of cover reveals for the books of next year, so hopefully I feel like my list is just going to keep growing, but I'm only going to do the list that I know of. So let's get started with the first book. So before I even knew anything what this book was about, I really love the cover, so it made me want to read it. And that is The Black Girls Left Behind, or Left Standing, excuse me. And just the cover is stunning. I love it so much. And as you can see, it's also going to be located in Chicago. But let me go ahead and read the synopsis for this one. And this is by Juliana Goodman, just to let you know. And it says, 16-year-old Bo Willett has dreams of being an artist and one day leaving the Chicago projects she's grown up in. But after her older sister, Katya, is killed by an off-duty police officer, Bo knows she has to clear her sister's name by finding the only witness to the murder. Katya's no-good boyfriend, Jordan, who has gone missing. If she doesn't find him and tell the world what really happened, Katya's death will be ignored, like the deaths of so many other Black women who are wrongfully killed. With the help of our friend Sonnet, Bo sets up a Twitter account to gather anonymous tips. But the more that Bo finds out about her sister's death, the more danger she finds herself in. And with a new relationship developing with her childhood friend Champion and the struggle to keep her family together, Bo is soon in way over her head. How much is she willing to risk to clear her sister's name and make sure she's not forgotten? So I felt like this book was very empowering. I haven't read a lot of books where, you know, a girl is killed by a police officer. I know there's been a lot of books that feature like Dear Martin from Nick Stone. There's been a lot of books where it's, you know, The Hate U Give, where Black boys and Black young men and Black men are being killed by police officers. And this is the first book that I know of that is dealing with a police officer killing a girl, which it is very common, and you know, a lot of people don't know their names or they're not being spoken of. And so I really am going to enjoy this book. It sounds really good, especially Bo trying to make sure her sister Katya's name is remembered and she's not forgotten. It's pretty much like Say Her Name, you know, pretty much. And I know like Janelle Monáe did a project which was Say Her Name, and is also a song that says Say Her Name, where it says all the women's names that were killed by police officers, you know, and police brutality. So I think this is a very important book to read. I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. It sounds really good. I love the names where you have Champion, you have Sonnet, Bo, Katya. It all sounds really interesting and sounds really good. So I definitely can't wait to read this in 2022, which this book is going to be coming out on June the 28th. So it'll be coming out in the middle of next year, but that's okay. I can definitely wait and be patient. But here's the first book, or another book that I plan on reading next year. This next book I cannot wait to read. I definitely believe it's a series. It comes out on June the 23rd, so another book that's mid next year, but that's okay. I cannot wait to read this. It's called The Final Strife. It's a Final Strife trilogy, and this is by Sarah El Arafi, and they just revealed the cover, which is right here, and it looks gorgeous. Just let me say, the cover looks stunning, and that's what mostly got me. But let me go ahead and read the synopsis for this one. So it says, in the first book of a visionary African and Arabian-inspired adult fantasy trilogy, 3 women band together against a cruel empire that divides people by blood. Red is the blood of the elite, of magic, of control. Blue is the blood of the poor, of workers, of the resistance. Clear is the blood of the servants, of the crushed, of the invincible. Scylla dreams of days growing up in the resistance, being told she would spark a revolution that would free the empire from the red-blooded ruling class's tyranny. That spark was extinguished the day she watched her family murdered before her eyes. Honor has been told she's nothing, no one, a disappointment, but the only person who matters, her mother, the most powerful ruler in the empire. But dust always rises in a storm. Hassa moves through the world unseen by upper classes, so she knows what it means to be invisible. But invisibility has its uses. It can hide the most dangerous of secrets that can reignite a revolution. As the Empire begins a set of trials of combat and skill designed to find its new leaders, the stage is set for blood to flow, power to shift, and cities to burn. So I said invincible. I meant to say invisible for the clear blood. So it says clear is the blood of the servants of the crush of the invisible. So that's what Hassa is. She's invisible, but she takes it, she uses it for her advantage or to her advantage. So I think this is going to be a really good book, a top book for adult fantasy. And so I definitely want to read this. Like, it sounds really good. It reminds me of Divergent in a way, how they have the different classes or different, stages. But for this one, it's about your blood. What's the color of your blood? Is it blue? Is it clear? Is it red? So I think this is going to be one of my top reads for sure, because it sounds so interesting. And I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. But like I said, this comes out on June 23rd. So I definitely cannot wait to read this. And hopefully maybe I'll do a buddy read, or I might do like a reading vlog for this book because it sounds so interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely cannot wait for this book. I will say it's going to be a huge book. It's going to be like 640 pages, but it'll be all worth it. I'm positive. So definitely cannot wait to read this book next year. Now, this next one sounds really interesting, especially when it talks about the blurb and everything of what it's comparing to. But this book comes out on May the 3rd of 2022. But here is the cover. It's Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Torrado. And the cover is what got me most. I will tell you, and I'll keep saying it, most of these are cover buys I'll definitely be purchasing next year. But even the stories are very intriguing and very interesting. So for the synopsis for this book, it says, mysterious disappearances, an urban legend rumored to be responsible, and one group of friends determined to save their city at any cost. Stranger Things meets Jordan Peele in his utterly original debut from an incredible new voice. For over a year, the Bronx has been plagued by sudden disappearances that no one can explain. 16-year-old Raquel does her best to ignore it. After all, the police only look for the white kids. But when her crush, Charlize's cousin, goes missing, Raquel starts to pay attention, especially when her own mom comes down with a mysterious illness that seems linked to the disappearances. Raquel and Charlize team up to investigate, but they soon discover that everything is tied to a terrifying urban legend called the Echo Game. The game is rumored to trap people in a sinister world underneath the city, and the rules are based on a particularly dark chapter in New York's past. And if the friends want to save their home and everyone they love, they will have to play the game and destroy the evil at its heart or die trying. It sounds really good, and I think this is going to be a top read for me as well. Like, I have a feeling, especially when it says, Stranger Things meets Jordan Peele, like it has to be really amazing. And it comes out in May, so a little bit early next year, sort of. But I definitely cannot wait to read this. Let me know if you heard about this book, or if it has been one of your anticipated reads, or it just became one of your anticipated reads now. But yes, I'm definitely looking forward to reading this, and the cover is phenomenal. So there we have for this book. Now, this next book, it seems like it's a middle grade, and it's called In the Key of Us, and that's by Mariama J. Lockington. And the cover is beautiful and it's stunning. And this book comes out on April the 26th of 2022. But let me read the synopsis for this one, which I do believe it, like I said, it's a middle grade. So it says 13-year-old Andy feels stranded after the loss of her mother, the artist who swept color onto Andy's blank canvas. When she is accepted to a music camp, Andy finds herself struggling to play her trumpet like she used to before her whole world changed. Meanwhile, Zora, a returning camper, is exhausted trying to please her parents, who are determined to make her a flute prodigy, even though she secretly has a dancer's heart. At Harmony Music Camp, Zora and Andy are the only two black girls in a sea of mostly white faces. In kayaks and creaky cabins, the two begin to connect, unraveling their loss, insecurities, and hopes for the future. And as they struggle to figure out who they really are, they may just come to realize who they really need: each other. So I think this is going to be a cute middle grade. It's going to be around like 368 pages. It sounds really good. and I'm enthralled with the cover. It's beautiful. I love the water. The kayak is very vibrant. Whoever did the cover art was just amazing. So it's just beautiful. But this is another book that I cannot wait to read, and this comes out early of next year. It's April 26th. So you know, if this isn't on your radar, hopefully it is, and that you'll pick it up. So we have this book, which I cannot wait to read. Now, this next book, it comes out on July the 12th, so I definitely cannot wait to read this. And here is the cover. It says, "We Deserve Monuments," and this is by Jazz Hammonds. And the cover looks gorgeous, so let me go ahead and read the synopsis. So it says, "What's more important, knowing the truth or keeping the peace?" 17-year-old Avery Anderson is convinced her senior year is ruined when she's uprooted from her life from DC and forced into the hostile home of her terminally ill grandmother, Mama Letty. The tension between Avery's mom and Mama Letty makes for a frosty arrival and unearths past drama they refuse to talk about. Every time Avery tries to look deeper, she's turned away, leaving her desperate to learn the secrets that split her family in two. While tempers flare in her avoidant family, Avery finds friendship in unexpected places. In Simone Cole, her captivating next-door neighbor, and Jade Oliver, daughter of the town's most prominent family, whose mother's murder remains unsolved. As the three girls grow closer, Avery and Simone's friendship blossoming into romance, the sharp-edged opinions of their small southern town begin to hint at something insidious underneath. The racist history of Bardell, Georgia, is rooted in Avery's family in ways she can't even imagine. With Mama Letty's health dwindling every day, Avery must decide if digging for the truth is worth toppling the delicate relationship she's built in Bardell, or if some things are better left buried. So this sounds really interesting. It sounds like a mystery to me because, you know, in Bardell, Georgia, there's a lot of things covered, a lot of things that people don't want to talk about or don't want to mention. This sounds really good. It sounds like it's really deep, especially a family split in two, which, you know, I feel like a lot of families know what that is, know what that means, and knows, how that is with families. Like, I have one with my family and all together where there's a lot of things, hasn't been unsaid or just are not unspoken, but we don't speak of them, because it will end up having a bad conversation. And like it says right here, tempers are flaring up to avoid certain family problems or family issues. So I definitely look forward to reading this. It sounds really interesting. It sounds really good. But yeah, cannot wait to read this book. Cannot. Now, this next book, I want to read it because it mentioned dragons in it, and I love fantasy books that have dragons, mythical creatures in it. This book comes out on May the 31st of next year, and that is Together We Burn by Isabel Ibanez, and it looks gorgeous. I love the cover so much. And it says for the synopsis, an ancient city plagued by dragons, a flamenco dancer determined to save her ancestral home, a dragon hunter refusing to teach her his ways. They don't want each other, but they need each other, and without him, her world will burn. 18-year-old Zorella Zavadar is a talented flamenco dancer and daughter of the most famous dragador in Hispalia. People come for miles to see him fight in their arena, which will one day be hers. But disaster strikes during their 500th anniversary show, and in the carnage, Zorella's father is horribly injured. Facing punishment from the Dragon Guild, Zorella must keep the arena, her ancestral home and inheritance, safe from their greedy hands. She has no choice but to take her father's place as the next dragador. When the infuriatingly handsome dragon hunter Arturo Diaz de Monastrad withholds his help, she refuses to take no for an answer. But even if he agrees, there's someone out to ruin the Zavadar family, and Zorella will have to do whatever it takes in order to prevent the Dragon Guild from taking away her birthright. So this sounds really interesting. Like I said, it got me when it had dragons in it, and it sounds really, really good. So I definitely cannot wait for this, which comes out on May 31st. So I'm definitely going to be reading this, and I probably will do a review about the book. But we have this book, which it looks stunning and beautiful. The next book that I cannot wait to read, it looks like a Black romance, and that is Finding Jupiter by Khalees Rowe. Let me tell you, this cover looks so cute, and hopefully it is a romance. So let me go ahead and read the synopsis. So it says, sparks fly when Oren and Ray meet for the first time at the roller rink in Memphis. But these star-crossed souls have a past filled with secrets that threaten to tear them apart before their love story even begins. Found poetry, grief, and fight collide in this powerful debut. Ray. Just once, I'd like my birthday to be about me and not the day my father died. I want to be Ray Jr., the tall girl from Memphis with the poetry beats and the braids that stay poppin'. And when I meet Oren at the skating rink, that's exactly who I am. He pulls my hands, and instead of being defined by my past, he races me toward my future. Oren. When I dive into the pool, it's just me and my heartbeat. There's no dad, no dead sister, and no distracting noises. But I can't hold my breath forever, and since I met Ray, I don't want to. The closer we get, though, the more I see I'm not the only one caught in her wake. With a lyrical blend of found poetry and pungent prose, this stunning debut captures young Black love and a decades-old family secret that may shatter a romance that feels written in the stars. And this book comes out May 31st. So this is a Black romance, and I know a lot of people have been looking for Black romances or wanting to see more reputation of Black love, and here it is. And I definitely cannot wait to read this. Oren and Ray sounds really interesting. I want to know more about them and their story, their love story, and also what is their family secrets. Because a lot of these books that I've introduced lately, that I just recently introduced to you, a lot of them have a lot of family secrets or family's past and present history. So I found that very interesting as well. But Finding Jupiter sounds really good, and I definitely cannot wait to read this next year. So this next book, it also comes out in May, but it's May 31st. And this is Deep in Providence by Rhys M. Nielsen, and it sounds and looks really good. I love this cover so much. So let me read the synopsis for this one. So it says, for best friends Mililani, Inez, Natalie, and Jasmine, Providence, Rhode Island has a magic of its own. From the bodegas and late-night food trucks on Broad Street to the hill that watches over the city, every corner of Providence glows with memories of them practicing spells, mixing up potions, and doing seances with the help of the magic Mililani's Filipino grandfather taught her. But when Jasmine is killed by a drunk driver, the world they have always known is left haunted by grief and Jasmine's lingering spirit. Determined to bring her back, the surviving friends band together, testing the limits of their magic and everything they know about life, death, and each other. And as their plan to resurrect Jasmine grows darker and more demanding than they imagined, their separate lives begin to splinter the bonds they depend on, revealing buried secrets that threaten the people they care about most. Mililani and Inez and Natalie will have to rely on more than just their mystical abilities to find the light. So, of course, this book is really good. It's, bringing back the dead and stuff. So I really find that very interesting. It makes me want to know more about Jasmine and the drunk driver who killed her. Maybe there's something with that, who knows, especially when their family has history of dealing with magic. So who knows, especially in the city of, in the Providence, Rhode Island, who knows what that city has and what their history is as far as people that have magic and people that don't have magic. How they live together, or are they against each other? Who knows? But it sounds really interesting, and I cannot wait to read this. Now, this next book, it is written in verse, and I cannot wait to read this. And this book comes out, well, it says it just comes out, expected publication is 2022. So we really don't know when it comes out yet. I don't think it has been determined, but I cannot wait to read this. And that is African Town by Irene Latham, and it looks so good. I cannot wait to read this. And also it is by Charles Waters. So we have two authors. We have Irene Latham and we have Charles Waters, and this cover looks stunning. It says African Town. It looks like it's up, it's something that I would read. So let me read the synopsis for this one. So it says, chronicling the story of the last Africans brought illegally to America in 1860, African Town is a powerful and stunning novel in verse. In 1860, long after the United States outlawed the importation of enslaved laborers, 110 men, women, and children from Benin and Nigeria were captured and brought to Mobile, Alabama, aboard a ship called Clotilda. Their journey includes the savage Middle Passage and being hidden in the swamplands along the Alabama River before being secretly parceled out to various plantations where they made desperate attempts to maintain both their culture and also fit into the place of captivity to which they'd been delivered. At the end of the Civil War, The survivors created a community for themselves they called African Town, which still exists to this day. Told in 14 distinct voices, including that of the ship that brought them to the American shores and the founder of African Town, this powerfully affecting historical novel in verse recreates a pivotal moment in U.S. and world history, the impacts of which we still feel today. Yep, I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. Like I said, it doesn't say when. It just says it'll be published sometime in 2022. So hopefully it'll come out early 2022 because I really want to get my hands on this. It sounds really interesting. It sounds really good, especially when it talks about the town of African Town. It talks about the Middle Passage. It talks about how they were brought from Benin and Nigeria, which they're they're close to the coast, especially Benin. So apparently they went to Nigeria and then went through all the way to Benin and stuff like that to the coast. Which in my ancestry, it shows us I have ancestors from Benin, so I find that fascinating. So I cannot wait to read this. I literally just in 2021, I've been a huge fan of books written in verse, and a lot of poetry. So this is definitely up my alley. I definitely want to continue on reading books written in verse and poetry because I find the words very captivating and meaningful, and it does something to my soul. So I definitely cannot wait to read African Town for sure. Now this next book I cannot wait to read, and it's by one of my favorite authors who also lives in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a huge fan of hers, and the book is right here, and that is A Girl's Guide to Love and Magic by Debbie Rigaud. I cannot wait to read this. This book comes out on July the 26th of next year of 2022. So let me go ahead and read the synopsis, but let me just say, and just love on this cover right here. The colors are vibrant. I love both the characters on the covers. It just looks stunning. So for the synopsis, it says, perfect for fans of The Sun Is Also a Star and Blackout, this YA novel from Debbie Rigaud is a celebration of Haitian and Caribbean culture and a story of first love, voodoo, and finding yourself, all set against the backdrop of the West Indian Day Parade in Brooklyn. Cicely Destin, a Haitian American teen living in Brooklyn, loves the annual West Indian Day Parade that takes place in her neighborhood. The colors, clothes, tastes, sights, and sounds, all celebrating Caribbean culture, fill her with pride and joy. This year, the parade will be extra special. It falls on Cicely's birthday, and Cicely will get to hang out with her awesome aunt, Mimos, a social media influencer known for dabbling in Haitian voodoo. But when Mimosa's dabbling becomes a little too real and she seems to be possessed by a rogue spirit right before the parade, it's up to Cicely plus her best friend Renee and her crush, Kwame, to try to set things right. Cicely and her friends set off on a winding, thrilling scavenger hunt through Brooklyn to find the items that will undo the possession. But can Cicely help her aunt if she doesn't fully realize her own powers just yet? This nuanced, joyful, and loving exploration of Haitian American culture, based on Debbie Rigaud's own experiences growing up, is pure magic. Oh my gosh. So yes, I definitely cannot wait to read this. Debbie has written 2 books, which they're both amazing. If you haven't picked them up, I suggest you do so. She actually has written other books, but the only ones that I know of is Truly, Madly, Royally. And then the next one that came out this year in 2021 was Simone Breaks All the Rules, which is book 1. So I definitely, if you haven't picked up her books, definitely do so prior to this one so that you can get a feel of her writing style. I love her writing style, and I just love her as a person. She's phenomenal. She's a amazing human being. Just talking to her is just amazing. I love it. But yeah, so this is the next book that I definitely cannot wait to read next year. Now this next book I cannot wait to read because it's part of the Mirror series, which there's multiple authors that'll be doing books for this series. So I definitely look forward to reading this. I know it was supposed to come out in 2021 in October, but it got pushed back to next year, early next year. So hopefully it won't be pushed back any longer. It will be published next year, like the day it says, which is going to be January the 18th. So hopefully it will stick to that publishing date, so that way I can finally continue on reading the Mirror series. And the title is right here. It's called Shattered Midnight, and this is going to be by Danielle Clayton. The first book that I read was for the Mirror series was The Broken Wish, and that was by Julie Dow, and that was really good. So I cannot wait to read this one. And like I said, this is going to be by Danielle Clayton. And so for this book, it says, The Mirror Shattered Midnight is the second novel in the innovative 4-book fairy tale series written by Julie C. Dow, Danielle Clayton, J.C. Cervantes, and L.L. McKinney, following one family over several generations and the curse that plagues it. Zora Brazard has arrived in New Orleans with not much more than a bag of clothes, a beautiful voice, and a pair of enchanted red shoes. Running from a tragic accident caused by her magic, Zora wants nothing more than to blend in, as well as to avoid her overbearing aunt and mean-spirited cousins. Music becomes Zora's only means of escape, yet she wonders if she should give it all up to remove the powers that make her a target, especially as a Black woman in the South. But when Zora gets the chance to perform in a prominent jazz club, she meets a sweet white pianist named Philip with magic of his own, including a strange mirror that foretells their future together. Falling into forbidden love, Zora and Philip must keep their relationship a secret, and soon the two discover the complicated connection between their respective families, a connection that could lead to catastrophe for them both. In the era of segregation and speakeasies, Zora must change her destiny and fight for the one she loves, or risk losing everything. So I cannot wait to read this, especially now this is located in the States, in the U.S., in New Orleans. The first book was located in Germany, so now we're traveling from Germany to the U.S. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. It sounds really good. I want to know more about Zora and Philip. I think their little love that they have going on, it sounds really cute, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. But like I said, this was pushed back many times, so hopefully they'll stick to the publishing date, which is January the 18th. So hopefully you'll be seeing that on my list of what I'll be reading in January of next year. But yeah, I cannot wait to read this, and the cover is stunning. Now for this book, I cannot wait to read. I'm currently reading the second book, which is Reaper of Souls, and this was by Rena Barron. So this is her third book of the series, and that is Master of Souls. And the cover, all the covers she's done are beautiful. Even her middle grade books are beautiful. And so this cover right here is very captivating. I definitely look forward to keep reading on with the series, because I really love all the characters, especially the romance between Aura and Roderick. I just find them very fascinating. So for the synopsis for this one, which let me tell you, it comes out August 16th. So if you haven't read the first two books, you will have a chance to do so before the third book comes out. And it says, a king with a score to settle, a demon driven to rebel, a girl who holds the power of the gods. Aura has paid many prices in her battle against the demon king. Now she must decipher the legacy of her past and weave an uneasy alliance between her beloved Roderick, the demon king, and the remaining Orishas, hoping to restore peace to all their worlds. But as Aura's half-demon sister regains her strength and resumes her quest for destruction, peace may require the ultimate sacrifice. So I wonder if Aura is going to sacrifice herself in order to kill her sister. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still reading the second book, so I don't know. But I'm glad Roderick and Aura are still going strong, obviously. So that's a plus. But yes, I cannot wait to read this book. It sounds very interesting. And I just love Rena Barron and her writing. It's really elegant. I love her writing style. It makes you want to read more. So I definitely can't wait to read this book next year. Now for this book, I definitely want to read it. I just haven't read the first two books. So I'm hoping that I read the first book sometime next year and the second book sometime next year before this book comes out, which comes out on June the 14th. So I do have time to read the first and second book. And that is The Blood Traitor. This is the third book for the Prison Healer duology, I think, or series. It's not duology, but a series. So I cannot wait to read this, and this is by Lynette Noni, and I just love the cover. So for this synopsis, it says, she'd failed them, all of them, and now she was paying the price. Kiva thought she knew what she wanted, revenge, but feelings change, people change, everything has changed. After what happened at the palace, Kiva is desperate to know if her friends and family are safe and whether those she wrongs can ever forgive her. But with the kingdoms closer to the brink of war than they've ever been, and Kiva far away from the conflict, more is at stake than her own broken heart. A fresh start will mean a perilous quest, forcing mortal enemies and uneasy allies together in a race against the clock to save not just Avalon, but all of Wonderfall. With her loyalties now set, Kiva can no longer just survive. She must fight for what she believes in, for who she believes in. But with danger coming from every side and the lives of everyone she loves at risk, does she have what it takes to stand, or will she fall? So this book comes out, like I said, on June the 14th, so I do have time to read the first book and the second book next year. It sounds really good. Lynette Noni, I've known that her writing is really good. I haven't heard a lot of things about her books, but I still want to read them because, you know, I want to read them. Especially my first book that I got was from Fairy Loot from my book box subscription. And then I had ordered the special edition for the second book. So I'm going to obviously get the third book as well to complete the collection. I'm not sure if this is going to be just a 3-book series, 4 books. I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be 3 books, but we'll see. But I definitely cannot wait to read this next year. Now, these last 3 books are picture books, which I cannot wait to read to my children. And the first one is Fly by Brittany J. Thurman and illustrator by Anna Kunhan. This sounds really good, and I love the cover right here. It looks beautiful, and I know my daughter will definitely enjoy it. So for the synopsis, it says, pure joy and the power of community radiate from this sweet picture book about a young Black girl's perseverance and confidence in following her double Dutch dreams. Africa's grandmother was a double Dutch legend, and Africa knows she can become the same. Her brother scoffs when she signs up for a double Dutch competition, though how can she hope to compete when she's never done it before? But Africa has all the tools she needs. Memories of her grandmother, her bestie Bianca's dance moves, her friend Amar's rhythm, and her classmates Mary Mac timing and cartwheels. If Africa can pull everything together to jump some winning moves, she might just fly. But it's the birthmark and the shape of her name that tells her she's always been a winner. And I love the fact that the main character in this book is named Africa. So that sounds really good. This book comes out January the 11th of next year. So I cannot wait to pick this up and read this to my children, especially my daughter. I think she'll find this very fascinating. So yeah, we have this book right here. And so the next book is A History of Me. And this is by Andrea Theodore, and illustrations are by Aaron Robinson. Let me read the synopsis for this one. So it says, who do you see when you look in the mirror? One mother's account of her experience as the only Black child in school serves as an empowering message to her own daughter and children of color everywhere. Life can be hard for the only brown girl in a classroom full of white students. When the teacher talks about slavery, she can feel all of her classmates staring at her. When they talk about civil rights, she's the only one that other kids whisper about on the playground. In those moments, she wants to slip away or seep into the ground, and she wonders, is that all you see when you look at me? What really matters is what she sees when she looks at herself. She is a reflection of the courage, strength, intelligence, and creativity that's been passed down from generation to generation through her ancestors. Inspired by her daughter's experience in school as well as her own, Adria Theodore's debut picture book is a powerful testament to the past as well as a benediction for the future. And this book comes out January the 4th. So literally these picture books are the last picture book I showed you and this book are pretty much coming out in the same month. So Lord, my pockets and my wallet are going to be screaming at me, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I can prepare, strategically when I'm getting these books in January. But I definitely cannot wait to read this book to my daughter, but also to my son as well. I think he'll really love this, especially since he'll be starting school next year. Well, preschool, but it's still school for him. And so it's definitely going to be a good time to read this to my kids. And so this is funny. This next book is going to be coming out January the 25th. So literally these last 3 picture books, they're all going to be out in January, which is fine, it's perfectly fine. And here is the cover right here. It's Fearless Heart, an illustrated biography of Sora Bonelli. And this is by Frank Murphy, Sora Bonelli, Anastasia Magalore Williams, who is the illustrator. And the cover is beautiful. I know my daughter will enjoy it. I'm not sure about my son, but we'll see. I already have some books in mind for him, especially Stunt Boy by Jason Reynolds that came out this month in 2021 of December. So that's one of his Christmas gifts. I thought he would really enjoy that book. But so this one is mainly for my daughter. And so for this book, it says, a vibrant picture book biography of Zora Bonelli, the figure skating champion who backflipped her way into history. It says, as a young girl in France, Sora Bonelli was constantly in motion, gifted in any sport she tried. But it was figure skating that had her heart. Sora knew she belonged on the ice. Her colorful costumes, exuberant routines, powerful jumps, and daring combinations were all expressions of her love for skating and her ambition to push the boundaries of what a figure skating champion could look like. Some people weren't sure Sora belonged on top of the podium. Is she graceful enough, they asked? Does she look like a skater? But Sora's fearless heart propelled her to always stay true to herself while pursuing her boldest dreams. Culminating in her iconic backflip performed at the 1998 Olympics, Fearless Heart is a lushly illustrated lyrical story of self-expression and courage. So I think my son will like this. I know it's mostly girls, so he probably won't like it because there's a lot of girls, it's about Sora Bonelli, but I think he might appreciate the story. I know I will appreciate the story, and I know my daughter will appreciate it. So I definitely cannot wait to read this. The cover is what got me the most, and it just looks very stunning. So definitely cannot wait to pick this up in January. But that is it. That is my part 3 of my anticipated reads of 2022. I really hope you enjoyed this video. There's going to be a part 4, and that'll be it for my anticipated reads of next year. Hopefully, I still feel like that this list is going to keep growing, but I'm not going to do any more anticipated reads videos. I'm just going to be doing 4 parts, and that's it. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button, that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I hope everyone is having a happy holiday and that everyone is staying safe. See ya!